Here are the three most important things about the GPT 4.1 announcement. First of all, 4.1 is focused on developers and coding. So they're trying to compete with Gemini 2.5, Claude 3.7. Up until now, coding for the OpenAI models typically hasn't been their strong suit. With the recent release, they did make 4.0 a little bit better, but it really just hasn't been where they've excelled. So 4.1 is an attempt to answer that. Now, that part I think is pretty obvious, but these second and third bullet points I think are really important. So the second one is instruction following. I think instruction following is super important and not something we've seen a lot of benchmarks for. So OpenAI actually came up with a set of specific evals and tests for instruction following. And in a recent interview, the chief product officer at OpenAI was really stressing how important this instruction following piece is as they're working on these new models. Now, the third thing here is long context. Now, Gemini 2.5 also has a 1 million token context window, but what really matters with that is context retrieval. And with all these models, even though they're gaining a larger context window, the retrieval and the success of retrieval goes down as you get closer to that 1 million token context window, and it drops pretty dramatically. So if this model can do recall more effectively than others, I think you get something that's exciting. A couple of these graphs here, we don't have to go into each one of them. So yeah, that's it. I think this release might be confusing or surprising to a lot of people, but they're really sort of clear with who this is focused on. This is really focused on developers. I mean, they say it right here. So they're focusing on the practical application of AI via their API. So this model isn't even available for consumers to begin with. It's just going to be available via the API. And particularly, I think what's interesting is they're not focusing on the benchmarks as much as this real world developer needs. So, right, it's not just about the size of the context window, it's the efficiency of the retrieval. It's not just about how it performs on a engineering benchmark test, it's how good is it at following instructions and it not doing a bunch of additional things that you don't want it to do. They're very focused on enabling people to build applications on top of the API.